You see, when a woman craves you, truly desires you on a level deeper than surface attraction, her body will often betray her before her words do. This isn't about seduction in the cinematic sense, no dramatic gestures, no obvious flirtation. It's more subtle than that, more primal. Because when craving becomes emotional, when it starts operating from her subconscious rather than her ego, it moves through her physiology in ways she can't control. Watch her eyes. If she lingers just a second too long, if her pupils dilate when she's near you, that's not just good lighting, that's biology. Prolonged eye contact, broken quickly with a smile or nervous glance away, often reflects both interest and restraint, like her inner world is speaking louder than she's prepared to admit. Her gaze isn't just about looking at you, it's about seeing you as someone who matters, someone who has entered her emotional space without needing permission. Then there's mirroring. Her body unconsciously aligns with yours. The way you sit, the way you gesture, even your tone. She begins to echo it without realizing. Psychology calls this the chameleon effect, and it's deeply rooted in rapport and emotional attunement. But it's more than mimicry. It's an unconscious yearning to connect, to sync with you, to reflect your energy because it feels familiar, safe, or attractive. She may lean in when you speak, even in a crowded room, not because she can't hear you, but because your voice draws her in. Her feet may point toward you in group settings, her torso facing you even when she's talking to someone else. These are directional cues, signs that her attention, and perhaps even her emotional center, is orienting itself around you. Craving doesn't scream, it orients. But what's even more telling is when her physicality becomes inconsistent, fidgeting, fixing her hair, adjusting her clothes, not out of vanity, but because your presence disturbs her composure. It creates a ripple in her emotional stillness, and her body responds before she can intellectualize it. There's a kind of nervousness that only shows up when you care what someone sees in you, even if you're trying not to care. Now, here's what's important for you to understand. These signs are not about conquest. They are about recognition. When a woman's body language begins to reflect longing, what's really happening is a conflict between vulnerability and fear. Her body steps forward while her words hold back. Because to admit craving is to risk rejection, so the body speaks, not out of strategy, but because it can't help it. And if you learn to listen, not with your ego, but with empathy, you'll begin to notice the difference between a woman who is simply present and a woman who is pulled toward you. One is polite, the other is electric. Because at the end of the day, real attraction doesn't need to shout. It whispers. And the ones who hear it, they move with awareness. They respond with intention. And that's where real connection begins. When a woman is craving you, not in a superficial, fleeting way, but with genuine emotional depth, her attention becomes intensely focused. This isn't about simply noticing you in a crowded room or offering you a compliment. It's about the quality of her focus, the way she listens, the way she remembers, the way she holds space for your presence, even in your absence. You'll find that she remembers small details you didn't expect her to, things you may have said in passing, an offhand comment, a subtle change in your mood. That's not coincidence. That's psychological investment. When a woman craves you, she naturally begins to prioritize your significance in her emotional world. Her mind keeps track, not out of obligation, but because she's mentally and emotionally engaged with who you are, not just what you do. It's easy to miss this if you're only looking for grand gestures, but craving isn't always loud. In fact, most of the time it's quiet. It shows up when she asks about something you mentioned weeks ago, when she subtly checks in on how you're doing even without a clear reason. This is attention rooted in care, not control. And that's an important distinction because what she's doing is holding space for you in her thoughts. She's carrying you with her. This type of focus also shows up in how she responds to your energy. If you're excited, she amplifies it. If you're tired or withdrawn, she senses it and adjusts. Not in a way that diminishes her, but in a way that shows attunement. Craving creates emotional sensitivity. She's not just observing you, she's emotionally with you, in sync with your rhythm, even if she hasn't spoken a word about how she feels. The mind follows what the heart desires. And when a woman's thoughts begin to orbit around you, when she unconsciously builds her day with you in mind, asking how your meeting went, making note of things that interest you, sending something random that reminded her of you, that's craving in action. Not because she has to, but because some part of her is already invested in the possibility of you. Now here's the deeper truth. When someone gives you focused, consistent attention, they are saying something powerful, not through words, but through energy. They're saying, you matter in my world. And if you're wise enough to see that, you'll know it's not a game. It's a window into something sacred. So many people chase validation when what they truly want is to be felt, to be seen without trying. And when a woman craves you silently, her attention becomes the most honest confession she might never speak. Pay attention to the energy behind the silence, because sometimes the loudest longing is hidden in the softest gestures, and those are the ones that mean the most. When a woman craves you, one of the most telling signs, yet often the most misunderstood, is her emotional openness combined with subtle vulnerability. This isn't just about her telling you personal stories or opening up about her past. It's about how she lets you into her emotional world without explicitly inviting you. It shows up in the way she allows herself to feel around you, to be seen without the armor she normally wears in other parts of her life. See, when a woman is emotionally drawn to you, she instinctively starts to soften in your presence, not in weakness, but in trust. She starts showing you parts of herself that she typically guards. And that kind of exposure isn't casual. It's not given freely to just anyone. It's a response to how safe she feels with you. It's how her subconscious evaluates whether your presence is a space where she can let go of control and just be. You'll notice this in the way her laughter comes easier, the way she shares her worries, her dreams, her doubts. Not for advice, but to be witnessed. That is emotional intimacy. She's not craving attention. She's craving resonance. And when she feels that you hear her without judgment, she's drawn in deeper. This is where a lot of men miss the mark. They think that a woman showing emotion is simply part of being expressive. But when a woman who normally keeps her guard up starts revealing her inner world to you, that's not random. That's intentional. It means she's emotionally invested. She's craving connection, and she's offering a bridge. Most of the time, that bridge isn't built with fireworks. It's built with small, honest disclosures. I had a rough day today, or I don't usually tell people this, but... Those moments matter because they're not just stories. They're signals. They say, I trust you to hold this piece of me. And trust is the real language of craving. Physical attraction can spark interest, but it's trust that sustains longing. Trust is what makes a woman emotionally return to you in her mind, even when you're not around. That's what makes her crave your presence, not because you're perfect, but because with you, she doesn't have to pretend. So if you ever wonder where you stand with a woman, don't just look at what she says. Watch what she chooses to share, unprompted. Pay attention to the emotional doors she opens when you're around, because when a woman craves you, she stops filtering herself. She becomes real, even raw, because somewhere deep down she wants you to meet her there. And here's the insight worth remembering. The deepest craving isn't about possession, it's about presence. Be the kind of man who doesn't just listen, but truly receives. Because in a world full of noise, a woman will always long for the one who hears her silence. When a woman craves you but doesn't say a word, it often shows up in the smallest acts of emotional investment, specifically in how she remembers and responds to the details most people overlook. This is not about grand gestures. It's about her emotional precision. She notices the way you like your coffee. She recalls something you said in passing weeks ago. She checks in when she senses a shift in your tone. It's subtle, but deeply intentional. Here's the psychological depth behind this behavior. For women, craving isn't just about desire. It's about attentiveness. When a woman is drawn to you, her mind begins to subconsciously prioritize your emotional world. You begin to occupy her mental real estate, and this mental focus manifests in a kind of emotional attunement. She might not call it craving, but that's exactly what it is. Her attention becomes selective, and you are at the center of it. Why does this happen? Because emotional craving in women often expresses itself through connection seeking, not necessarily through direct pursuit. Society has conditioned many women to suppress bold expression of romantic desire, but that desire doesn't disappear, it redirects. So instead of chasing you outright, she'll invest herself in understanding you. She learns you. She tracks your moods, your routines, even your language patterns. That investment is her way of emotionally inching closer to you without making it obvious. What makes this so powerful is how easy it is to miss. A lot of men look for physical cues, touching, flirting, direct communication. But a woman's deepest emotional craving often shows up in how she supports you without being asked, how she offers encouragement when you're quiet, how she mirrors your energy to maintain harmony. She's not trying to impress you. She's aligning herself with you. And that kind of energy isn't performative. It's revealing. Craving, in this context, is not hunger for possession. It's a longing for emotional closeness without jeopardizing her dignity. She wants to be seen by you, but she's afraid of overexposure. So she speaks through her actions, through consistency, through thoughtful silence. This is the language of a woman who feels deeply, but values her self-respect more than momentary validation. If you're the kind of man who can read beyond the obvious, who listens with his eyes and observes with his heart, then you'll recognize this for what it truly is: quiet longing. Not desperation, not neediness, but a deep internal yearning that says, I see you, I care, I'm here. And here's what you must reflect on. Real connection isn't built on loud declarations. It's built on quiet commitment. When a woman remembers the parts of you that even you forget, that's no coincidence. That's intention. Don't wait for her to confess. Pay attention to what she shows you when she thinks you're not watching. Because the truth is, she already is. When a woman craves you, one of the most revealing signs is her subtle emotional vulnerability around you. This isn't about dramatic breakdowns or overt declarations of need. Instead, it's about the way she quietly lets her guard down, how her emotional walls soften in your presence, even if she's typically composed or guarded with others. It's the small moments, when her voice lowers during personal conversations, when her eyes search yours for understanding, or when she reveals something about her past not many people know. These are not accidents. They are calculated risks, unconscious perhaps, but deeply meaningful. You see, emotional vulnerability is not just a side effect of romantic interest, it's a deliberate opening of the self. And in a world where many women have had to armor themselves emotionally to navigate relationships, being vulnerable is not a weakness, it's a sign of trust. It's a sign of craving. She's saying, without words, you feel safe to me. That is one of the highest forms of intimacy a woman can offer before anything physical or verbal even takes place. Psychologically, craving and emotional exposure are often intertwined. When a woman begins to feel emotionally drawn to you, her internal defenses shift. She may try to hide it with sarcasm, playful teasing, or even emotional aloofness. But at some point, the truth leaks through. Her craving creates an internal friction. The desire to connect battles the instinct to protect. And if you're sensitive enough, you'll feel that contradiction in her pauses, her nervous laughter, or the way she lingers a little longer in your presence than she intends to. This form of vulnerability often comes with unspoken expectations. She may not ask for much, but she notices everything, especially how you respond. Do you brush it off? Do you interrupt? Or do you lean in, not just physically, but emotionally? The man who makes her feel seen in those moments, without trying to fix or control her, becomes unforgettable. Because you're not just hearing her, you're holding space for her. That's rare. Now here's the deeper philosophical truth. Vulnerability is the birthplace of connection, and craving, when it's real, is a longing for deep connection. So when a woman lets herself be emotionally bare in front of you, even if just for a moment, it's a sacred offering. She's giving you a glimpse of her raw self, and whether or not she'll continue to show you that side depends entirely on how you respond. Don't chase louder signs. Don't demand clearer cues. Pay attention to the softening, the slight tremble in her confidence when she talks about something real, the way her tone changes when she's not performing. Because in those moments, she's not trying to impress you. She's craving to be understood. And that is where love begins, not in noise, but in nuance. The man who recognizes her quiet vulnerability and honors it with gentle presence doesn't just win her interest, he earns her trust. One of the most underestimated signs that a woman craves you, but refuses to admit it, is her silent consistency. Not in grand gestures, not in the overused romantic tropes, but in how she keeps showing up in your life, subtly, reliably, and sometimes inexplicably. You see, when a woman is drawn to you on a deep emotional level, she may not always express it through words. In fact, she might be the type who says very little, but watch her patterns. Watch how she always finds a reason to stay connected, even if distantly. That's not coincidence. That's craving disguised as routine. In a world where distraction is abundant and attention spans are shrinking, consistent presence, especially from a woman, guarding her emotions is profound. Whether it's a quick message under the pretense of something casual, a quiet like on your social media post, or simply remembering the small things you say, this is her way of staying tethered to your energy without revealing too much. Psychologically, this is an act of preservation. She's managing her feelings while testing yours. She's craving closeness, but controlling exposure. The consistency here is not desperate, it's strategic, even subconscious. She's not chasing you, she's orbiting you. And she's hoping you'll be emotionally intelligent enough to notice that she's chosen to remain in your atmosphere even without an invitation. She values proximity because emotional craving, when not expressed openly, has to find release through indirect channels. So she chooses to stay involved in your life in the ways that feel safe. The philosophical layer of this is fascinating. Human beings, especially women, are wired to protect their emotional core. Vulnerability is a high-risk state, so instead of handing over her heart, she'll offer consistency. Instead of confession, she'll offer presence. And if you understand the weight of that, you begin to see love not in declarations. She's not there for convenience. She's there because your presence shifts something in her, stirs something she's not quite ready to name. And yet she returns. That's not an accident, that's emotional gravity. Now here's where many men miss it. They dismiss the woman who's always just around. They wait for dramatic signs, forgetting that the quiet ones often carry the most depth. A woman who is consistently near, emotionally, mentally, or energetically, is signaling something profound. She's saying, I'm choosing to stay within reach, hoping you'll reach back. Your job isn't to decode every move. Your job is to become aware of patterns that speak louder than words. If you can tune into that rhythm, that subtle consistency, you unlock a new level of relational awareness. Because in the end, it's not just about how loudly someone declares their feelings. It's about how steadily they remain when they could have walked away. Craving doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers over time. And the man who listens to the whispers, he never has to chase what's already making its way toward him.